Snow lay evenly and quietly over the little town, as if afraid to wake someone important. The street lamps glowed yellow, the windows warm and Christmassy. In the central square, a Christmas tree had been standing for 3 days already, decorated with glass ornaments that clinked in the wind like delicate little bells. But the bells did not ring that night. Andriy was coming home late. He had stayed at old Levko's workshop, helping to fix a door. The air cut into his lungs with cold, and the snow crunched under his boots so loudly that he instinctively glanced over his shoulder. At this hour, the town usually slept. Too calmly, too politely. Nonsense, he muttered to himself. People spoke of the disappearances in whispers. First, a drunk watchman from the sawmill, then a girl walking home from a night shift. No screens, no signs of struggle. They simply never arrived. The district police had come, walked around, asked questions, shrugged. The forest is big. People disappear, especially in winter, especially before the holidays. Still, Andriy stopped near the old shop when he saw the tracks. Not human. Hooves. They were pressed deep into the snow, as if whatever left them weighed more than an ordinary goat. The tracks led away from the road, straight toward the forest. Andriy bent down and ran his fingers along the edge of one print. The snow was freshly packed. "Devilry," he whispered, not quite understanding why he said it so softly. A sound came from the forest. Not a bleat, not a scream, more like a short, muffled breath, as if someone had covered their mouth with a hand. Andriy froze. The darkness between the trees seemed thicker, and for a moment it felt as though something shifted among the shadows, horned, unnaturally tall, with a crooked silhouette. He blinked, and the night became just night again. He walked faster. At home, his mother was already asleep. The house smelled of pine and cinnamon. A note lay on the table. "Don't stay out late. People are disappearing." Andriy sat on the edge of the bed and stared out the window for a long time. Snow was falling evenly, as if someone were trying to erase the tracks. He did not know that another person would vanish that very night, or that in a few days he would meet a girl who would look at him as if she already knew how all of this would end. And somewhere far away in the dark forest, a goat with human eyes slowly led someone along, without struggle, without a cry, only with fear that smelled like Christmas. In the town, people didn't like the word missing. They replaced it with others, softer, more convenient. Didn't come back, got lost, left without saying where. That way, it was easier to drink morning coffee and hang Christmas stars in the windows. Andriy was standing in line at the shop when he heard the shopkeeper suddenly lose count. She was counting loaves of bread, always the same way, mechanically, and then she stopped. "But where did—" she began and fell silent. No one asked her to finish. People stared at the shelves as if an answer might be hidden there. A few seconds later, the woman simply sighed and started counting again from the other end. Andriy understood. They were subtracting people, but refusing to admit it out loud. He stepped outside and nearly collided with a girl. She was holding a bundle, something wrapped in dark cloth tied with twine. "Sorry," she said quickly, but without fear. Her voice was steady, a little hoarse, as if she hadn't slept. He noticed her eyes, not their color, the look in them. There was something there that made you want not to look away, and at the same time to take a step back. "It's fine," he replied. "I was just lost in thought." She smiled, briefly, not for him, more like a habit. "Everyone is here." They walked side by side for a few steps. Snow was falling slowly, as if hesitating. "You're not from around here?" Andriy asked. "I am," she answered after a pause, "just not one of those people who are remembered well." It didn't sound like a joke. He wanted to ask more, but she had already changed the subject. "Did you hear the bells last night?" "No." "Good," she said, as if that meant something. He noticed the twine on the bundle was tied in a complex knot, not decorative, practical. "What's in there?" He nodded toward it. The girl lowered her gaze. "Things that are better not left unattended." They stopped at a crossroads. Her way led towards the old houses near the forest, his down toward the river. "Maria," she suddenly said. "That's my name." "Andriy." She nodded as if she already knew. "Andriy," she added quietly, "if you hear footsteps outside your window, don't go out." "Why?" Maria looked up at him. There was something like guilt in her eyes, but without remorse. "Because sometimes it's better if you're not noticed." She walked away, leaving footprints in the snow, human ones, light. Andriy watched her go and couldn't shake the feeling that he had just spoken not to someone who feared the darkness, but to someone who had long ago come to an... Andriy woke up before dawn with the feeling that someone had just left the room without closing the door behind them. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Even the clock on the wall had stopped, the hand frozen between two marks, as if hesitating. He sat up, listening, and then he smelled it. Not smoke, not cold, pine needles and wet wool. The scent vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. On the windowsill lay a thin, silvery thread. Andriy didn't remember anything like it being there yesterday. He picked it up, and his fingers answered with a brief sting. Not pain, but something like an electric touch. During the day, he looked for Maria, not with a clear purpose, more the way one looks for a place where something was forgotten without being sure it ever existed at all. He found her by the river. She was sitting on the old bridge, her legs dangling above the water, her fingers working the same twine that had tied the bundle the day before. "You didn't sleep," he said, not as a question. Maria looked at him and smiled, this time more slowly. "And you?" "I woke up." She nodded slightly, as if that explained something. He sat down beside her. Between them remained a space, not distance, but space, filled with something dense. She smelled of cold, and that same pine scent he had noticed at night. Andriy tensed, but did not move away. "Are you afraid of me?" Maria asked suddenly. "I don't know," he answered honestly. "I think I'm afraid of not you." "Then of what?" He didn't find the words right away. "Of the fact that next to you I start noticing things it would be better not to notice." Maria stared at the water. Her fingers tightened around the twine. "That's dangerous, noticing." "And you?" He turned toward her. "Are you afraid of me?" She looked straight at him. There was something sharp in her gaze, almost bare. "Yes," she said, "because you look as if you might stay." A cracked ice floe drifted slowly between them, split down the middle. "Maria," he began, and stopped. The words felt out of place. She stood up. "Don't look for me tonight," she said quietly. "If you hear someone calling, it isn't me." She walked away, but this time Andriy noticed her footprints in the snow were far too deep for such a light step. That same night, another man disappeared in the town. And on the bridge where they had been sitting, 2 sets of tracks remained, human ones, and hoofprints, vanishing in the same direction. After the man's disappearance, the town began to move differently. People no longer gathered in groups, no longer lingered in the streets. Conversations broke off mid-sentence, as if someone invisible were standing nearby, listening. Even children stopped running around in the evenings. They were called home before darkness had fully fallen. Maria appeared during the day, always during the day. Andriy caught himself counting the hours until he might see her again. It irritated him. He disliked dependencies, especially the kind he couldn't explain. They met near the old library, the only place that still smelled of paper rather than fear. Maria stood on the steps, watching him approach. She didn't wave, didn't smile. She was simply waiting. "You're here again," he said, as if it meant something. "So are you," she replied, "which means the place isn't to blame." He noticed the dark circles under her eyes, and the scratch on her wrist, thin, almost neat. "What's that?" he asked, without thinking. Maria quickly pulled down her sleeve. "A cat." He knew she didn't have a cat.
and he knew that she knew he knew. They went inside. The library was almost empty. The old caretaker was dozing at the desk, not lifting her head. It felt safe there, or so it seemed. Maria ran her fingers along the spines of the books, as if checking whether they were still real. "Have you ever wanted to disappear?" she asked suddenly. "Sometimes," Andriy replied, "but not so that people would look for me." She nodded. "That matters." He turned toward her. The distance between them closed almost imperceptibly. She looked at him from slightly below, and there was neither flirtation nor fear in it, only tension. "Maria," he said quietly, "you're lying to me." She didn't look away. "Yes." Her honesty caught him off guard. "Why?" "Because if I tell the truth," she said, "you'll either leave or stay for the wrong reasons." He smiled, but there was no joy in it. "And what if I'm already staying for the wrong reasons?" For a moment she flinched. Her hand brushed his fingers, accidentally, lightly, but he felt it as if someone had placed a warm living creature into his palm. "Don't do this," Maria whispered. "Don't get attached." "Too late," he replied. "You already started it." She stepped back sharply, as if remembering something important. "Tonight, lock your door with every bolt, even if you hear my name. And if it's really you?" Maria looked at him for a long time. Too long. "Especially then." When she left, Andriy noticed a mark on the library floor, darker than it should have been. Not from shoes. He didn't tell anyone about it. And that night, the goat lingered longer than usual outside one house, because inside someone was waiting, without knowing it. Dusk fell faster than Andriy had expected, as if someone had hurriedly switched off the light. He was walking home when he stopped halfway, not because he heard something, but because the night felt too attentive. Maria was sitting on a bench near the abandoned chapel. He didn't know how he knew it was her, he just did. The lamplight fell so that half her face was in shadow. "You weren't supposed to be here," he said. "Neither were you," she replied, "yet here we are." He came closer. She was paler than during the day. She breathed slowly, as if every breath were a decision. "You told me to lock the door," he said. "I told you not to open it," Maria corrected softly. He sat down beside her. The chapel behind them had long been unused, the doors warped, the cross on the roof leaning as if tired of holding on. "You didn't sleep again," Andriy said. "I don't sleep when I'm afraid of hurting someone," she answered. He wanted to touch her hand. He even lifted his palm and stopped, as if something between them had its own boundaries. "Tell me at least one true thing," he asked. "Just one." Maria was silent for a long time. Somewhere in the forest, a branch cracked. "I didn't want you to be the first," she said at last. "The first what?" She looked at him as if she regretted starting. "The first one it would be hard to let go of." He felt it physically, not as fear, but as the tension before a fall. "Do you let everyone go?" he asked. Maria smiled, but her eyes stayed serious. "Not always." That same silence rose between them again, dense, almost warm. Andriy leaned closer. Their foreheads nearly touched. He could feel her breath, cold on the inhale, warmer on the exhale. "If this is a mistake, tell me now." Maria closed her eyes. "This isn't a mistake. It's the end of the countdown." Her lips were a breath away from his, and that was when the air broke. Nearby, something heavy stepped onto the snow, slowly, deliberately. Maria recoiled sharply, as if struck. "Go, now," she whispered. "Maria, go!" Panic rang in her voice this time. A silhouette emerged from the forest, tall, wrong. The horns against the sky looked as if they'd been cut from darkness. The goat stopped several dozen meters away and did not move. It was watching. Maria stood between the creature and Andriy, arms spread, as if she could protect him. "Not now," she said into the darkness. "Not him." The goat tilted its head. Its eyes glowed not with evil, but with knowledge. Andriy didn't remember how he ran. only that he ran, feeling a gaze on his back, not of pursuit, but of judgment. When he looked back, Maria was gone. On the snow remained 2 sets of tracks that met at a single point and then continued as one.
Andriy didn't go home. He walked along the forest, keeping his distance, not to see, but to feel. The darkness here was different, not empty, but occupied. The snow swallowed the sound of his steps as if someone were asking him to go more quietly. He knew he was being foolish. He knew Maria had asked him not to search, but it was too late. Something inside him had already moved, and stopping now would mean betraying not her, but himself. Ahead, a shadow flitted between the trees. Not the silhouette of the goat, a human one. Someone was walking, stumbling, as if unsure where to go. Andriy quickened his pace. "Hey," he called quietly. The figure stopped, turned around. It was the sawmill boy, younger than Andriy had thought. His eyes were empty, his lips blue. "You," the boy whispered, "you shouldn't have come." Then Andriy heard breathing behind him, slow, patient. He didn't turn. "Where's Maria?" he asked, not knowing exactly whom he addressed. The boy smiled, a crooked, unnatural smile. "She's keeping her balance, and you're breaking it." A branch snapped. Something heavy stepped closer. Andriy felt a chill along his spine, not fear, but the awareness of the scale of his mistake. "Let him go," he said into the darkness. "Take me." The words hung in the air, like a failed joke. Behind him came a sound like a short laugh, dry, joyless. The goat emerged from the shadows. Up close it was even more wrong. 2 long legs, fur that seemed wet, and eyes that looked right through him. Maria stood beside it, no longer entirely human. Her facial features seemed shifted, sharpened, but he recognized her immediately. She looked at him with horror. "You weren't supposed to do this," she said. Her voice was doubled, hers and not entirely hers. "I had no choice," Andriy replied. "You see that?" "I see, which is why—" She didn't finish. The goat stepped forward, and the sawmill boy simply vanished, as if turned off. No scream, no fall. He was gone. Maria shuddered, as if it had happened to her. "Now everything is different. You interfered. Now she knows about you." "Who? She?" Andriy asked, though the answer was obvious. The goat tilted its head and stepped toward him. Maria positioned herself between them, but now her hands were trembling. "Go," she said. "If you truly want to save me, go and forget what you saw." "I can't." She looked at him as if that were the most painful thing he could say. "Then next night," Maria said, "she will come for you, not by chance." Andriy stepped back, never taking his eyes off her. Only when the trees hid them both did he allow himself to breathe. In the morning, the town would say that the sawmill boy had left. Andriy would wake with the feeling that he had already been counted. After that night, Maria disappeared. Not like the others, without rumors or searches. She simply ceased to be visible. She wasn't seen by the river, by the library, on the shop steps. Andriy caught himself several times staring at empty spaces as if she were supposed to be standing there. The town returned to its usual rhythm, at least as much as it ever could. People decorated windows, bought sweets, argued over trifles. The missing were no longer counted aloud. Only someone added another candle in the church, without a name. Andriy slept in fits and starts. He dreamt of the forest, but it wasn't dark. The forest was bright, almost festive, and that was what frightened him most. In his dreams, he always knew, if he took one more step, something would be lost forever. On the 4th night, she came on her own. He didn't hear footsteps, he just felt her, just as one feels a gaze.
Maria stood in the doorway, not touching it, as if unsure she had the right to enter. "You've broken all your own rules," he said softly. "I don't have them anymore," she replied. She looked different, not worse, not better, but different, as if something inside her had cracked, yet was held together by sheer will. "Sit," Andriy said. She didn't sit. She remained standing, as if ready to leave at any moment. "I came to tell the truth," Maria said, "but not all of it." "Start with what you can bear," Andriy replied. She smiled, for the first time in a long while, truly sadly. "The goat is not a form, it's an account." He remained silent. "She doesn't take people at random. She maintains balance between what was done long ago and what has not yet happened. I am the door." "And what if the door is closed?" Andriy asked. Maria looked at him as if he'd suggested burning down the town to keep warm. "Then she will start entering without permission." She stepped closer. This time he didn't back away. Her hand touched his chest, carefully, as if checking whether he was real. "You've become part of the account," she said, "when you followed me into the forest. I don't regret it." "I know, and that's the worst part." She closed her eyes. "If you stay close," Maria continued, "someone else will disappear sooner, not because you are bad, but because she will see a replacement in you." The words hung between them. "And if I leave," Andriy husked. "Then," she said softly, "I'll have a chance to survive Christmas." He understood. It wasn't a request, and it wasn't an ultimatum. It was the truth spoken in a way that could not be used without pain. Outside, a bell tinkled. Someone had hung a new decoration. The holiday was approaching. "I won't leave," Andriy said. Maria stepped back a pace. "Then," she replied, "the next truth you will learn on Christmas night, and she will leave us no choice." She vanished as quietly as she had appeared, and on the floor where she had stood remained a mark, not hoofed, not human, as if someone had paused in between.
3 nights remained until Christmas. The town tried to look as if nothing was happening. Lights were strung on the square, candles appeared in windows, and people began greeting each other louder than usual, as if sound could replace certainty. Andriy didn't tell anyone about Maria, not even himself, aloud. He knew that the moment he spoke, she would become either less real or, conversely, too real to endure. He went to the bell tower. The old bell ringer had lived there alone for many years. They said he knew when to ring the bells and when to remain silent. Andriy found him repairing a rope. His fingers moved slowly but without hesitation. "The bells are silent not out of fear," the bell ringer said without looking up, "but because of a debt." "Whose?" Andriy asked. The old man smiled faintly. "Always someone's." He offered no answers, only one thing, a piece of rope, identical to the one Maria had held in her hands. "If you decide to pull," the bell ringer said, "pull to the end. Half measures are unheard." That same night, Maria came again. They sat in a dark room without light, between them 2 paces of space that neither dared to close. "You're looking for a way out," she said. "I can feel it." "I'm looking for a way for you not to be the door," he replied. She slowly stepped closer. Now only a hand separated them. "And what if being a door is all I can do?" Maria whispered. He touched her cheek, gently, as if to something that could vanish. "Then I'll learn to wait, on this side." Her eyes glimmered, not with tears, but with something like relief. They kissed, not like in movies, without hurry, without promises. The kiss was quiet, almost sad. When it ended, Maria didn't step back immediately. "That was a mistake," she said, but remained in place. "Yes, but not one you'd want to fix. Outside, in the forest, something stirred. It didn't come closer, it marked its presence. On Christmas night, the bells will either ring or fall silent forever. And then what? She looked at him for a long time. Then one of us will stop being who we are. She left before dawn. Andriy remained with the rope in his hands and a clear feeling that the plan he had devised wasn't his own, and that the real choice had already been made. Only the name had not yet been spoken.
Christmas night entered the town without bells. It was clear immediately from the silence that was not empty. Candles in the windows burned steadily, but the flames did not flicker. Snow fell slowly, almost ceremoniously, as if it knew that tonight no one would curse it. Andriy stood by the bell tower, rope in hand. It was rough, coarse, alive to the touch. He didn't know if he had the right to pull it, but he knew that if he didn't do it now, he never would. Something stirred in the forest. Not a sound. Presence. Maria appeared from the darkness, as if emerging from the snow. She wore a dark coat, but beneath it Andriy saw movement, wrong, restrained. She no longer tried to hide. "You're here," she said, "so she has guessed." "Guessed what?" Andriy asked. "That you would try to replace me with action, not with refusal." She stepped closer. Her breath was warmer than usual. "You don't have to," she said. "She didn't come for you." "Not yet," he replied. The goat stepped out of the forest slowly. Now it did not hide. Its horns caught the candlelight, its eyes calm, without anger, without haste. It knew that time worked in its favor. "She doesn't take by force," Maria whispered. "She takes with consent, even if people don't understand." "And you?" Andriy asked. "Did you give consent?" Maria closed her eyes. "Once," she said, "on a Christmas night, I thought I was saving. In truth, I opened it." The goat stopped at the base of the bell tower, looked at the rope, then at Andriy, and took a step. "If I pull," he said quietly, "what will happen?" Maria looked at him with such tenderness that it was hard for him to breathe. "The bells will be heard by those who can still be saved," she said, "and the one who hears the bells will cease to be the door and become what?" "An account," Maria replied. Andriy smiled, not from joy, but from clarity. "Then listen carefully," he said, and grasped the rope. The goat took another step and stopped. For the first time, something like doubt appeared in its movement. "You don't have to," Maria whispered. "I won't endure it if it's you." He leaned toward her and kissed her, briefly, firmly, as if committing her to memory. "You have endured already," he said. "Now it's my turn." He pulled. The bell rang, not loudly, but deeply. The sound did not go upward, but into the ground, into the forest, into the bones. The goat jerked its head sharply. Its silhouette began to change, not vanishing, but as if retreating. Maria screamed. Her knees buckled. Andriy caught her in time and felt something heavy, cold, pass through him, leaving a void behind. The bell rang a second time, and a third. Then the silence became different.
What remains after the bells? When the bells fell silent, the town did not wake. People continued to sleep as they always had. Candles burned down evenly, without a crackle. The snow lay pure, without hoofprints, without signs of struggle, as if the night had simply done its work and left. Maria sat on the ground near the bell tower, pressing her hands to her chest. It felt as though her heart was beating out of rhythm, lagging, as if listening to someone else. "Andriy," she called softly. He stood beside her, but not like before. His eyes looked at her, attentive, calm, without fear. In that gaze there was no longer any doubt, and that frightened her most of all. "Do you hear the bells?" he asked. "They've fallen silent," Maria whispered. Andriy smiled, softly, almost tenderly. "No," he said, "they are simply no longer for you." She stood and touched his hand. His skin was warm, his heart beating, but something in him was not human, not evil, other. "What did you do?" she asked. "The same thing you once did, only I knew the price." She shook her head. "You cannot be the account. You're alive." "Exactly," he said. "That's why she could no longer take others through you." Maria looked around. The forest was empty. The goat was gone. There was not even a sense of presence, only a silence that did not threaten. "And you?" Her voice broke. "What will happen to you?" Andriy looked up at the sky. Snow fell slowly, as it had on the first night. "I'll stay here, in between. I won't disappear. They just won't look for me." "I won't allow it," said Maria sharply. "I won't accept it." He stepped closer and pressed his forehead to hers. "You already do," he whispered, "because you live." She cried, quietly, without sobbing. Tears fell on his coat, but he did not wipe them away. "I love you," she said. He froze for a moment, then nodded. "I know," Andriy replied, "and that's enough."